Now it's getting super hot in the summertime. We just had a mad dash this morning with a heat wave rolling in. It's going to be 100 degrees for the next couple of days, if not higher in some cases. So we weren't really prepared with having a new baby in haul. We had a lot of dreams over the winter time, but we haven't been able to enact that much. We're having a great time and everything, but we weren't ready for the 100-degree weather. And after having everything planted and the whole process of getting your garden set up, it'd be a real bummer to lose it right now when a heat wave comes. I'm just here to share a few tips, 3 tips with you that will help you make sure to help your plants beat the heat. Obviously, number 1 is going to be water. You want to make sure that your plants have adequate water to get them through the heat of the day and make it so that they're not going to wilt, weather, and die. So to do that, you want to have a few things in mind. You want to know when you're going to be watering. So you don't want to be watering in the middle of the day. You want to be watering at nighttime or the first thing in the morning, very early, before the heat of the day comes in. Because if you're watering more towards the middle of the day, then it's just going to actually increase the amount of... Rooster won't stop today. That's all right. He's enjoying the heat too. So in the middle of the day, it's actually going to make your plants more thirsty and consume more, and it's better off to have either the beginning of the day or nighttime. So you don't have to water every day. The best way to check when to water or how well you're watering is to just dig around the base of the plant and see if the dirt will actually clump together, and that means that you've done a good job, you've done the deep watering. And there are several ways you can do deep watering. If you have a large garden, ideally, you're not stuck like us using a hose still, but we do have plans in the future to move to a drip irrigation system. However, due to the fact that we cannot use our water from the well, we would need our rain barrel system set up. I have to do a little bit of tinkering to make that work without electricity and only through gravity form. So that's still in the process, as well as a kind of big redesign of a few things. So stick with us for that. But you can either deep water, and you want to use a soaker hose on that, and then make sure to get the base of the plants. You don't really need to be getting the leaves. Leaves aren't where the water is being sucked in. You want to have it at the ground level. Ideally, you have straw as well as ground cover so that it's keeping the moisture in. So that's number 2, the straw. If you have a widely spaced garden where there's a lot of ground that's available, 1, you don't need to be doing it this way. You can actually group things in closer and have less ground of being visible to the sun. So if I had all of the dirt here exposed to the sun, it's just ripping out the nutrients. It's drying it out quicker. It's making the plant not have access to water quicker. So have a nice 2 to 3 inch level layer of straw is actually going to extend how long the water and nutrients are going to stay in your garden, and overall that will give more access in the long run to a healthier plant. So if you're curious how well you've done with your watering, let me just take this off here. You can go to the base of your plant, move all your straw away. If you just reach in there, you'll see clumps together, then you did a good job. So that's going to just be at the base of your plant. You don't need to do it at every plant to know that you've done well. The other alternative to having it so stacked with so empty is a very stacked bed. This bed has dill, it has tomatoes, it has tomatillos, it has all sorts of things. There's sunflowers, we got carrots in here. There's several things, and you can't even see the ground. And I did not water this today or yesterday. But if I go in here and go in, you can see that the dirt is actually still very moist and doing well. And that's just because the sun doesn't have enough access to destroy all of the nutrients in the soil. So that's number 1 and 2. 1 being water, 2 being straw, and number 3 being shade. So if you have the ability to get yourself a shade cloth like we did our first year, we had this over our garden and it actually fell down due to a little bit of inexperience, and we kept it along the side so that we can use it one day if necessary, and that is what we're doing today. So with the 100+ weather, we just have this draped over, and you can see everything's doing fantastic in there. It's been covered up just for these hot days there still insects are able to get in there and pollinate, so that's good. And then we'll just pull that right off once we're done. So we only have that on our actual major vegetables, the ones that are most important to us currently, because I don't actually have any more shade cloth to cover things, and I can't get any in the next couple days. So this will have to do, and we'll just make sure to deep water at nighttime, deep water in the morning if necessary, depending on how wet the soil actually is, and we'll hope for the best. But those three things are going to be very critical. So let's just circle back to the first one, water, which is very crucial, and will also give you a few different options on how you can water them. So like I mentioned, we mainly do it with our soaker hose, and in the future we plan on doing a drip irrigation system. But because ours is gravity fed, we were going through a bunch of different options to see what actually is possible. I've bought many different drip lines, drip sets, flat ones, the tubes. I've tried many different options, and so far we've only come up with two that have actually been able to cover such a large space and actually use the gravity. So that being said, if you do have access to a hose water or some kind of powered water, then some drip tape would be pretty awesome. I had this hooked up to our house just to test it out. It was really, really nice to have. So something like this, where it lays out on the ground, and then we'll have little holes. You can see there's some water left, and it will just spout out. But what I found was you need bare minimum 10 psi in order for this to work. Even with the 10 psi, it was very, very slow with this specific one. And there are ways to increase that, but we're not going to get over that in this video. So another option is drip line like this. So you can see it has little spouts ever so often, and you have your black hose, which allows you to connect bed to bed, and then your actual connector points. That's what we're using right now, and it is working with the gravity fed system that is not barely off the ground, which my plan is to increase the height of that. So you can see here in the shaded bed, we do have it being watered through the drip system here. This is drip tape. Oh, there it goes. Drip irrigation is absolutely the way to go. It's going to save you time. It's going to save you energy. It's going to give your plants a deeper water overall, and it's also going to allow you to step away and let the timer handle that responsibility, so you can continue to grow out all your other dreams and ideas. For our orchard, we have different plans for that, and currently what we are doing was watering by hand. But what we've recently done, because it's just the amount of trees that we plant, it turns out that it works a lot easier if we do it this way. I had a tow behind water bag that was 150 gallons, and what I did was just fill it with water, and I would go through the through the orchard, and open the spigot so that it would be able to pour out, and I'd wait a couple minutes for each one so that I have at least a 5 gallon pour on each tree's root system, especially the new ones, at least 2 to 3 times a week. And that's going to make sure that your root system gets a nice deep water, and it just essentially lets your tree get set up for success. However, that also requires a bunch of time and means you're going to stop at every single one and wait for those 5 minutes or 3 minutes in order for it to pour out. What we found was a lot easier is to go with a bucket system, where you go through, you have a 5 gallon bucket, you put a little hole in it, and once you have the hole in the bucket, you'll then just take your hose, fill that bucket up. Once it's at the top, it'll slowly pour out. You go to the next one, have another bucket. I have like 5 or 6 of them, so that by the time I get to the 6th one of filling it up, the last 3 of them are actually already been poured out. So then I can just keep moving them down the orchard and taking care of all of the trees. with the 100+ degree weather coming in and the heat wave, you definitely want to make sure that you're focusing on your orchard as well as your new plants, but definitely your new trees, because you know you spent a lot of money on those and they're going to come back year after year, as long as you treat them right the first year and the subsequent years after that. But the first year is really important so that you can actually end up with a orchard that is going to be beautiful and feeding you and your family for years to come. So that being said, that's basically it. You have the water, the different methods that we've talked about on how you can actually do the watering. The trees, you want to have the ground cover as well. So what we use is we use mulch, and you do 3 inches of mulch around the whole base of the tree. I like to do it 2 feet past the drip line. This is Salus summer peach right here, and you can see the drip line is not that wide right now. At the very least, if you don't have that much space, make sure that the base here of your coverage is at least out to the drip line. I like to do 2 feet more, and then the 2 feet more is just so that there's no there's fewer. I do have some weeds that I have to take care of here, but there's fewer weeds and grass trying to compete for the water that your tree would have. Also, by loosening up all of the dirt that is around there when you're planting it, it allows you to separate out your roots so that they grow out nice and thick and wide and have plenty of moisture to coverage. So that's very important. If you can get a drip system on your trees, that would also make them do very, very well. That is not an option for us here, unfortunately. So we're going to stick with the buckets for now until we come up with a better solution. But it is proving to be very effective and very quick. It has cut down the time of watering in at least half. This is basically how the setup looks. You just put the tree there. I put the bucket next to the tree. You have a spout, a spigot at the bottom, and leave it open. It'll slowly water out, and then any excess you can come back and then just pour it in there. But if I go to any of these trees, I won't use that as an example because I just poured water on it. But here, this is an example. So if I go in here and I'm pulling back my my mulch, you can see, wow, it's really nice. You can see it sticks very well, is well watered. We're just going to cover that back up with our mulch. And we'll come back in another day or two. Take care of that. Behind me here is our rain barrel collection, and that is what allows us to water all of the plants that you've seen, as well as ones that you haven't. And it just overall has been very effective for us and has allowed us to overcome the issue of not having enough water to start our garden. So don't let anything stop you, and get started today. Prepare yourself for the heat of summer, and going forward, good luck and take care.